SWB audio capture, not registered. SWB audio capture, not registered.
Is it no FOMO?
Or FOMO arigato?
It is Monday, September 23rd, and this is your Smart Doll News.
I got distracted because Sandy looked at her phone while doing that, and I forgot to hit the button.
I had just checked the date and couldn't remember what it was, but it is September 23rd, and we are back.
Yeah, we've got, we're going to be talking about stealth drops. I mean, we've been talking about it off and on for a while now, but Danny's put out some polls. We've got some new dolls announced and dropped. We've got upcoming events announcements and some reminders, and some sneak peeks at what Boy Dolls.
Yeah, Boy Dolls. New STL files coming
for accessibility accessories. I could just say wheelchair.
Yeah.
So that's what's on our plate this evening. Let's get into it. All right. First up, we want to talk events. And since we're talking events, we might as well remind you of what's coming up. Danny and crew, Smart Doll will have in a booth. Like in a booth. And like I went wrong and then Canadian. LA Comic-Con on October 4th to 6th. So in just a few weeks.
Yeah.
In LA at the Los Angeles Convention Center. And then, as we've seen, we talked about in the past, Anime Impulse. This is full Smart Doll Outpost at Anime Impulse Bay Area.
Yes.
October 12th to 13th, 2024.
I will be attending.
And I will just be getting as much use out of that kaiju animation as possible. So yeah, if you want to see Sandy and maybe get one of the goodies that she's been making for the event, be sure to stop by the Smart Doll Outpost near San Francisco.
It's in San Mateo at the San Francisco Convention Center, but it's in San Mateo.
Then just announced London Comic-Con Winter. The Smart Doll Outpost is going to London. Now, he was in London over the summer.
Yep.
And then got to meet a bunch of people and a bunch of the European creators.
Yep. And so a lot of our friends are going to be there, and we're very sad that we can't go.
Enchantarium, Beth Ramsden,
Michaela Frost, Kawaii Core Dolls, Carmi Cat, Dolly Path, Moyashi Doll, Smart Doll Boutique UK, Hana Fubuki Doll, and Octa Pudding, who is our Haven here is actually, you can't see her right now. She's actually wearing one of Octa Pudding's hats.
Up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fantastic. I mean, I think we throw amongst the US versus the EU /UK creators this jealousy back and forth every time there's an event.
Yeah.
But gotta say, like, so many of our friends are gonna be hanging out together, and I really want to be there.
Yeah, we actually have. I mean, our closer doll friends are like Enchantarium and Beth Ramsden and Michaela. Like, we would love to be able to go and meet up with you guys. Maybe next year.
Yep, Sandy has just disavowed all of our US friends in one fell swoop. So we've got that, and so be sure to check that out. I'm going to go back a slide. Again, November 16th to 17th in Olympia. Check out, Google London Comic-Con Winter. I'll be sure to try and put a link in the description, which is not in there yet. But should be in there after the live stream. But pretty quick, easy Google. All right. Now, we've been talking about this next one for a while, and I spotted it immediately in Danny's timeline. We have the official reveal of Jinx.
She looks awesome. I mean, I haven't watched the show much, but I've seen the like the trailer things on Netflix and stuff, so I know what she looks like, and this looks really good.
It really does a fantastic job of capturing her, and I want to know though where's the shark bazooka thing, Danny, that you printed? Did that not work out? We also have a shot of the back. I mean, the detailing on this is just really, really good.
I would love some kind of variation on that top.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That would look very cool. Maybe not that exact top, but like some sort of thing like that for the Solar Marines or whatever.
Yeah, it is fantastic. If you want to see Jinx, and again, I'm going to go backwards here. If you want to check out Jinx in person, be sure to check out be sure to head to the I guess all of the events that we just talked about. He should be having her.
Did he say on there that he was displaying her? I mean, I wouldn't surprise me that he is, because it's a fairly new cosplay, but he didn't say.
I'm pretty sure she's going to be there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if I'm wrong and he hasn't said it, it's a pretty high chance. Yeah. He generally displays.
She's got painted tattoos and everything. She's very cool.
Yeah, a lot of multi
discipline.
Thank you. Multi-discipline action happening here, and very cool. We also have, as we're talking about this, I feel like I've missed the story in the deck, and you'll have to excuse me of catching up after being gone for 3 weeks.
We stood for half an hour in the kitchen going through everything and going, what do we miss? What do we miss? What do we miss? We're sure to miss something.
Yeah, well, and then after we done it, we probably missed it. So I'll double back if I missed what I think I've missed, which is probably a big deal. But we also had some new characters introduced. We have this new classic, new classic girl, i.e. girl on a classic body.
I really like this eye variation. This is really cool. I mean, she really looks different. Her eyes are different from the other G7 eyes.
Yes. She's very sweet looking. She has, I'm not even sure, no, it's just the angle, I think, but or maybe some slight asymmetry to her mouth, but she almost has just the hint of a little bit of a smirk in her smile, one side. I think that may just be an optical illusion. Mm-hmm. But I like the two-tone depth in the eyebrow. You have the lighter, broader, larger eyebrows, mm-hmm. and then the darker core center to it.
I want to point out something. Grape Kitty 1 says, "Sorry, not sorry," looks so happy.
So yeah, we've been talking about this, and we gotta talk about the elephant in the room, Danny. You kind of coming across as a bit of a boomer, not knowing the lingo and the idioms. Can we just make this correction now and just ready? 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, not sorry. Now the thing is this is even old.
Yes, I mean this came out just after our last, it was one of the first things that came out.
But let's just assume he's not going to turn around and do Skibbity Toilet Doll.
Barbie Witch says you blew it, Danny.
I'm very much entrenched in Gen X. Even I knew that it's sorry, not sorry, Danny.
So yeah, it is really funny also because of the next doll we're going to talk about is so clipped in its language that it has similar rhythm to this, but the rhythm is so much better with sorry, not sorry, and it is hashtag sorry, not sorry. Yeah. So I mean, we kid a little. And
Danny knows that.
But I don't think it matters what Danny calls it. I think everyone
is gonna call her sorry,
Everyone
not
will
sorry.
be calling it sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe someday they'll just surreptitiously remove the I'm.
I'll say like sorry, I'm not sorry is much more pointed. I will give Danny that. It's very aggressive.
Sorry, I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, it lacks a little bit of the sort of flippant nature of the colloquialism. But yeah. We also, now, did she actually release, or is she still coming?
She's still coming.
She's still coming. And a doll, though, that was announced and
Released like the
dropped.
next day.
Self Be True.
Yes.
Okay, Sandy, you've been gushing.
Yeah.
Tell me about Self Be True.
Okay, for one thing, y'all as like fans of our channel need to read her description, because it's basically another way of saying what I've always said our channel is about. Being able to be who you are, right? Self Be True is a quote from Hamlet. Polonius says
to thine own self be true, which is Polonius sort of saying a bunch of like sort of cliched
things fatherly advice.
Yes.
Right? And one of the things he says is this above all else to that, I believe it, is it all else or this above else? I'd have to go back and look it up. To thine own self be true.
I always want to say above all else, but who knows? Yeah.
Yeah, to thine own self be true. Okay, so this is like where he's taken, and he's like, so the last one he added words, and this one he's taken them away.
Yep. Which works. It's a little bit jarring at first, but it works.
Yeah. I like it. Because you could also consider it a command, because it's like self be true. Right? So you can do this a whole bunch of different ways. I love her.
Right. Let's talk about what's unique about her face up. Like she's I mean they're all like slight variations of each other to some extent. She's got like a little bit of like that swoopy lash that like Legion has going on. But what is happening in the bottom the bottom corners of those eyes? Like she's got some extra dark like eyeshadow.
Yeah, there's like some shading on her cheek, above her cheekbone, which I think is very cool. She's got like she's giving future eyebrows, like the very soft eyebrows. But
I kind of read, like, I think you and I have this differently, but when I look at those, this looks a little bit like mascara running to me. Like it looks a little bit almost like she was crying,
which is awesome. I don't know. I love her. I told Danny immediately that I loved her. And I'm like, she has been in my cart since she released, and I keep not buying her because we're going to Japan, and also because I need a tea one. I don't have a tea pair.
Oh, right. We need a tea pair, and not that we're sure that necessarily. We don't know if she's going to be in tea. And we don't know how she's like, whether or not she's going to be like really good in tea. But
especially that dark coloring, like I don't think it's going to show off.
Yeah, it might
on tea the way that it does on.
Dolls Rescue says, "I love her face. She reminds me of Future." Right on board. Great Kitty says, "So is this a Sandy doll? She's cute."
I would be immensely flattered. And we did note that in the description he does there's a disdain as a keyword in there. Which
well, not a keyword. He literally uses it once, so we have to really, really read into it.
Yeah.
But which we enjoy doing sometimes.
But I love her. I think she's beautiful.
Linda Fryer says she is my mini me. Yeah, I mean, this is Hanami says I think she's my favorite pair so far.
Dana S says she does look like Sandy.
So you've already got your mini-me, but
yeah, I've got Deborah, which is the Live and Let Live Without Freckles that I use as my mini-me.
But she's great. I love it. And is this our first Shakespeare themed doll?
I think so. And I said to Danny, I'm like, well, now you're throwing Shakespeare in there, and you know I have to have her.
Yeah. And I think you said you've already named her. Are you willing to give it away?
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there because I know we have some Shakespeare aficionados probably in our chat. Lee actually put up the quote, which is, "This above all to thine own self be true, and it must follow as the night the day," and he goes on. So what's her name, everybody?
Yeah, it's kind of obvious if you know, but we'll see the first person to guess it, and we'll keep moving on. She is fantastic, and yeah, I feel like even though we do need a tea doll, I think you may need her in cinnamon.
Yeah.
I
think I just got permission from John to order another Smart Doll.
I don't think that's what I said.
Yes, Carla. Carla wins.
Yeah. Carla Ophelia is her name. She is immediately named. But yeah. Let's move on before our doll budget explodes before we get to Japan.
In a month.
We got a new look at the new boy sculpt. Come on.
Yeah, so Danny asked, like, how do you see him? Is he a nice guy? Like, I don't remember what his words were, but it was basically like, is he the good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he like, what do you see? You know?
Oh, thank you so much, Barbie Witch. The Barbie Witch says, "Self be true is straight bussin', much riz, bet." Thanks for making me say that.
I can get behind a lot of the new lingo simply because a lot of it is like regurgitated, shifted stuff from like when I was in high school. Like there's like
slang just, it doesn't recycle itself, but it uses a lot of the same methodologies.
Yeah. So I mean, like some of it I don't really, it doesn't bother me, but like, the skibbity toilet thing is like, what?
All right, moving on. I love the the eye fold going on here. I think it's very cool. I do worry a little bit about the flexibility of this, but I think from some of the mock-ups that people have put up and tried, and I need to try some of my own, this definitely like sort of leans more serious and maybe bad guy kind of look. But I think if you can pull it off and have like that, have a nicer look, I think it all depends on what you do with the rounding off of like the eye, the eyelashes and things like that.
Okay, so right now for me, and I said it as soon as he came out, what is it to do? I said, he's giving me tweed wearing intellectual. In other words, I see Giles.
Okay.
He needs some wireframe glasses. Like, I totally see Giles from the Buffyverse.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think what I will say is, the dimension on this sculpt is really nice. Like,
yeah,
the sculpting of like the brow, the sculpting on the eye, there's a much more physical eyelid instead of just a hole.
Mm-hmm. And he's a nose breather, which we were expecting because they all are now.
But yeah, I definitely think he's definitely a serious boy, and with a maybe like a devilishly handsome kind, but there's, I don't know, I tend to see him leaning much more, if he's a knight in shining armor, he's more like, he's light Yagami style, but he's actually evil.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I love it.
Technically, like, Light Yagami is kind of like that intellectual, he was that sort of intellectual, scholarly type.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Can't wait to see what you do with it. And I literally got home from traveling like way too late Friday night.
Yeah, someone asked earlier if we had gone to Japan already. It's like, obviously, no, we haven't. John had 2 trips pretty much back to back.
Yep. And then got stranded in Atlanta airport for like 5 hours. But we won't talk about my Friday. This is just so cool. I'm loving it. Let's move on to the wheelchair.
So this is exciting because we know that Danny has been working on wheelchair concepts for a long time.
Yeah.
And this is looking pretty good.
He described this as sort of blending like R2D2 the star. Oh no, now I'm forgetting his comparison. It's just so cool. The gunner seat in the Millennium Falcon with R2D2. And you can see that very much here in definitely a Star Wars aesthetic. Barry Witch says BB-8 wheelchair vibes, totally. I think it would actually be cool. I would love to see it wouldn't be practical necessarily, but like a mono wheel, like sphere wheelchair. So like it technically is 2 wheels, but it's like the 2 sides of a sphere, and it kind of look. Anyway,
so I mean, this is the way he has painted this. You could paint this differently and have it not look as Star Wars universe. Like you could paint that inside of the wheel black or gray or whatever,
sure,
and have it not look that way.
All the lines on it, all the details, very Star Warsy.
Right, and when he does decide to release the STL files, you can take those off if you want to. Right, you can change the surface of that.
I suppose. I mean, it would be a lot of work.
The other thing we do know is that you can actually the seat is designed so that it's separate pieces, so you could actually cover it with fabric if you want to, and make it a more whatever you want. You can customize it however you want, but you could make it a more normal pedestrian wheelchair. To say something sounds kind of strange, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. A less sci-fi chair, but probably still just as fun. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. He does, of course, note that there's by no means that this design would ever be really practical for real humans. You can see how we've talked about for a long time. Smart dolls are very leggy.
Yep.
And he has figured out a way to make this work. And he did also actually note that after this prototype, they will be scaling it up another 5%. So this is a little bit on the small side for what they want.
Right.
But
I think
cool.
the fact that the seat scoops the way that it does and everything hides the fact that the legs are so long a little bit.
Maybe.
I mean, if you go back to that picture, you can see it looks, because she's wearing a baggy shirt, which hides the way the torso is working.
Yeah. It's hiding how much above the seat the legs are actually sitting.
Yeah.
Because they're like, yeah.
But I think that looks pretty good. I mean, it's never going to be perfect because their legs are so long.
Yeah.
And
there is this element of like, the more you kind of got to make it a little bit on the small side to make it look more natural to humans, but you have to kind of bridge the gap, I think, in the scaling between being perfectly scaled for Smart Doll and being a little bit more human proportions to imply, like, to almost blend the two together. But yeah, you're gonna see this in STL files, going to creators, being made, being produced by people if they want to make them and sell them. This is going to be out there. It's just so good. I don't know if he's actually going to, like, how many he's going to make himself and sell, but I would imagine that if he does do that, it'll be probably a limited run.
I have a feeling folks who utilize chairs will be like have a lot of fun with this, like making it like their fantasy chair. Like if they could have like whatever they wanted for a chair, they will have a lot of fun with wheels and like put hot pink wheels on that thing. Like whatever you want.
Yeah, a lot of options here. Cannot wait to see these actually in the wild.
Jewel encrusted. A
Bedazzled.
bedazzled wheelchair.
All right. So before we get into this, I think we need to talk about the thing that I missed. So let's go here and have a conversation about coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee is coming. And he had put out a couple of like notes that basically, if you really, kind of discouraging people from just outright buying it if they have any concerns about like the lightness and the accuracy of pictures.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard, no matter, like, you cannot predict proper color. He can certainly try and color calibrate his equipment and processes, and I kind of would love to see you actually make an attempt at that, Danny. But we may also, when we get our hands on them, be able to do that. I mean, I've got color calibration sets for video, so it may not work quite as well for photography, but I can either give it a try. But the really honing in on accurate representation of the skin tone is very hard, and you kind of need to see him in person.
Yeah, I mean, he actually said, he's like, if you're not sure, talk to people who've seen it in person at one of the events, because it's already been at it was already in Seattle, and I believe it was in London after that. So I mean, people have seen it in person, and then people have gone to the store and seen it. I think personally, having seen it, I think the photos that Danny has put up are showing the skin tone pretty well at this
Pretty
point.
reasonably.
Yeah. But I mean, people bought Black Navy and don't seem to be having a hard time with it.
Yes, but Black Navy doesn't like represent, like, if it's going to represent a real person, it's still not even meant to, and it doesn't even quite do it for like somebody who's really, really ebony black,
Right. No, definitely not.
So it's not. I think when it comes to representation, people want to really see and understand what it is. If you can, get your, if you can find somebody who has it in person, meet up at an event, go see Danny at any of the 3 events that we talked about earlier in the stream. A great way to do it. But I think we're gonna see coffee soon, and the big question is, we have to remind you, of course, that coffee, the first rounds of coffee, just like with pear, are going to be higher priced because
they'll be bundled.
They'll be bundled with the medium bust. So this is to make sure that, to kind of gate the demand a little bit, and ensure that his team can kind of keep up with it. And then as the operational side of things gets everything more under control, they will start selling the doll standalone, which will happen reasonably quickly.
Basically, if you're not sure that you want coffee, if the skin tone is going to be what you're looking for, wait till other people get it first.
Yep.
Wait till the people who are like, yeah, I want coffee, get it. And then you'll get to see a lot more pictures, maybe see somebody carrying one around at a convention, or even around town. You never know. And then you'll be able to decide, let the people that are sure they want a coffee doll get it first.
When we do get one, we will be sure to try and we'll do a skin tone comparison video like we did in the past, with some of the like fantasy colors and things like that. But we will also, like I said, I will make some attempts to make as color accurate as possible But again, I have no control, and neither does Danny, over your screen
Your
that you're
screen.
using,
Mhm.
and all that stuff.
Yep.
But I will do some photos that aren't on like a smartphone, because smartphones love to crank up contrast and do like extra sharpening and weird stuff to make things look great and to adjust for the fact that they got a tiny sensor. Um, so we'll be doing some, some better photography, and try and get as color accurate as we can get for you to check out.
Yeah, I don't even know. Are like PC and Mac screens still like display color very differently
I
the way
mean,
they used to?
I doubt they're that different, but generally, I mean, it depends on like even the monitors and like how color accurate the monitors are when they come, when they come out. But again, you're talking about, for the average person, it's not going to make a huge difference.
Mhm.
But I mean, if you even have ever set up a new TV, getting color accuracy on that, you can easily have things without even realizing casting a much warmer hue to everything.
Yep.
So, Barbie Witch asks how to calibrate color. Most people, well, if it's a TV and it's important for like movie experience and stuff like that, there are websites that you can go to, like ratings.com, RTINGS, that have like basically a place to start at least, which will probably get you pretty good with the various settings, again, for TVs. But to actually color calibrate any monitor, you need a colorimeter. It would be a device that you basically attach to your screen, usually hanging down from the top or something like that, and software that goes through the whole gamut of colors and measures it, and then knows what it should display as, and adjusts and creates a custom color profile for your monitor that you can set in your computer settings. There's no reason for most people to do this. So just know that when you look at colors on your screen, you're not exactly seeing accurate colors, and usually the kind of difference between various colors is more what our brain starts to kind of look for. Manuel, it says, at one time, Danny would send color vinyl rings for colors. Wonder if he'd be able to do that with the new color. I don't know if he would be sending that out. It's certainly something that he could do. But when we have chaos drops, that is definitely a good, you can usually get like vinyl scrap and rings and things like that through chaos.
Yep. I think is it still that you can request them in your box if there's room?
I don't know. It's a question for Danny. I don't know if he's actually still doing it. But we'll see if we can track it down. That is a solid way to get an idea for skin tones and just get it in. It doesn't really tell you how like the face ups are going to look on it necessarily, but it will give you a good idea for the color. All right. So all this to say is, how is coffee going to drop? Is it going to follow the same methodology? Danny put a post that basically went through like just how contradictory all the feedback is that he gets, and sort of said, let's see, maybe not once and for all necessarily, but let's do a poll and see, which do you prefer? Do you like the stealth drops, or do you like the announced free for all, as Danny calls it, the Hunger Games?
Right.
So it is, after 478 votes, which is, I mean, it's a pretty solid response and good sample size. I think it's actually a pretty good portion of the active community. And we have 70.1% for stealth. And now this is in general.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a clear opinion. Well, it's only 478 votes, but it's still a pretty clear representation.
Yeah, I mean, it is. I would say that this is pretty accurate. Now, mind you, there's going to be different types of users out there, but considering these are Twitter followers, and most of the Twitter followers are the people who are looking at his announcements on Twitter, like this is a pretty good response for for this question, or I should say a pretty good pool of respondents. So let's talk. Like, he did do a follow up to a more specific of the question of, okay, so what should we do for new stuff? But let's talk in general. Sandy, we've had it for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel it's going with stealth drops versus the Hunger Games?
Well, I think in terms of being able to stock dolls on the site, I think stealth is going very well. Like, Danny's actually got inventory out there for a while. There was a while where we barely had one page of dolls.
Right.
And now he's got 60 something, he said, on the site. So that's pretty impressive. And I guess we could, like, say, like, I guess it's not really affecting, like, the resale, as far as, like, let me reverse that. Scalping's going to happen. Resellers are going to happen. It seems to be happening less because he's able to stock the dolls, so people aren't buying them as much and reselling them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about it personally.
I mean, it makes not much difference to us, I will be clear, because we fall in the bucket of scalpers in terms of people who either have the motivation, the technical know-how, or the money to get alerts set up for this.
Right. Right.
So, and we've always gone out of our way to set up a more complex alert system.
We're past the point of setting, we used to have, we've said this before, we used to have Alexa telling us, she'd wake us up in the middle of the night to tell us that there was a drop.
Text to speech that's like, Smart Doll Land said on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. And then if he has a URL, it starts going https://www, like, and
reading the whole thing out. But we were able to wake up in the middle of the night for some pretty big drops.
Yeah.
But we don't do that anymore. And we don't have to. So I think, I guess I'd say, like, let me like sort of translate what John said. We're not scalpers. We're not buying dolls and reselling them. He was saying that we have the resources to be able to have the same awareness that the resellers and the scalpers do.
Yep. Dee Dee brings up a point. I mean, this is an obvious, like, con, I guess, to this is with stealth, you do have to check the website more often. I'm doing it several times a day. But it's like everyone, you kind of get to choose how much do you care about the drops. And Danny talks about it reducing FOMO. And I think people conflate FOMO and MO. Like, or what was I calling it? DOMO. So fear of missing out and disappointment of missing out. Like,
or from missing, so it'd be DFMO, but
I like DOMO. Anyway, so there is this emotional build and crash that happens with FOMO, that either you're always like, you see an announcement and then you're doing the race and the adrenaline is up there, and everyone's doing this because they don't think there's gonna be any opportunity to get, or they have to get every opportunity they can to get the thing.
And of course, those of us who value dopamine, the fact that I was able to get that in my cart and buy it, that's a big dopamine hit.
But also there's the dopamine of, like, I stopped by the website and, oh my God, it was there. Like, there's always those dopamine, but I feel like with the announcement, like, it happens, like, for most people, it's hitting you harder and more frequently, the emotional side of things. And I don't know how many times on Facebook I see people getting dolls and then reselling them because they didn't bond with them, and they, like, they bought it, but they really had wanted the T version, but were like, I'm never gonna get, I see this now, I'm gonna try and get it. Like, I think some people underestimate just how many purchases are happening because people are afraid they're not going to be able to purchase it.
Yeah. And then you just end up sitting on it. Or it just doesn't, you never bond with the doll or whatever it is.
Great Kitty says, when Kanata was announced, I couldn't get her, but when she was stealth dropped, it was so easy to pick her up. I mean, yeah, there's like a little bit more leeway in time. We had some people saying like, oh, let me actually go to almost all of the responses on Twitter were like, a mixed approach, please, but I voted stealth. Like, so many people were like, we probably need a little bit of both.
Yeah, I was kind of in line of, if it's a brand new item that he knows people are gonna want, then announce that it's coming.
Yeah.
Maybe not announce when it drops, but announce, she's gonna drop sometime in the next few hours or something.
I think a couple of I'm not sure where it was. While I can understand the stealth drops, looking at the few stealth drops, most have been during EU nighttime. Without announcement, it makes it hard to see or get some chaos items. Do I stay up? Do I sleep? Now I've been on the hunt for add-on cloths and not full dolls at the moment. That's from Lucky Slavin. This is someone basically saying, well, hey, you're still dropping it at nighttime, and I don't know if I have to stay up or not. But shortly thereafter, we have someone saying it has been easier to buy on the site over the last few weeks as a European, because that it instead of lasting 2 minutes, there's actually still stock possibly left over when they get up.
Right.
So, all right, that is the first question Danny asked, and then since everyone kept suggesting this mixed approach, he followed up a few days later with this: do we want, for new releases, announcements or just stealth like everything else? And this is close. I would even wager to say I would call this a tie. Like, margin of error.
Yeah, that's a tie.
This, to me, this counts as a tie. And I think Danny typically, like, if this were two products that he would
probably release both.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Sandy, about stealth? Where do you fall? Stealth for new releases, announcements? How would you do it?
I don't know. I was just saying while we were looking around that I liked stealth for the announcements for new releases was a good idea. I'm still falling. I'm kind of giving more nuance to it. I think I'm still falling in the announce new things, but don't announce them right on the drop.
Okay. So is it a before the drop, after the drop?
Because
you could go about it a couple of ways. He could drop it and then the next day go, this dropped. Like, I want to know what dropped. Like, if something new is out, I want to know that it's out.
No, I mean, I was thinking more along the, and he's done this in the past where he's been like this doll is going to drop on Saturday, like sometime between X time and X time.
Weebaloo says, I like announcing them a few days prior just so people can get their things in order to buy the thing. Yeah. Which that is a concern for a lot of people, of being prepared financially for something. Mm-hmm. And I think, that certainly helps. Like, I feel like maybe it's just hey, this is the new stuff coming out this week. Mm-hmm. Like, beginning of the week sort of thing. And, the stuff you'll start seeing, so that we can at least track and prep that the thing I want is out and I want to keep checking.
I want to say it was Supergirl that he did it's going to be dropped on this particular Saturday. And it was like 2 weeks ahead of time. And he was like, I'm going to drop it on this date, probably because that's the date that he could drop it.
Yeah.
But like, so that you knew you had a considerable amount of time ahead of time, but you knew exactly when it was coming. You couldn't pre-order it, nothing like that.
Yeah.
but you knew what day it was going to drop on. But in terms of this, I was actually thinking like just the same day, like he gets in the morning and goes, I'm going to drop it at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon after we've packed everything else up. You know.
I mean, it is hard. We do know there's some limits, and there's a lot of the comments on these threads have been just rehashing the same suggestions over and over again that we've gotten pretty clear answers on, like pre-orders and lotteries and things like that. And there's very specific reasons that Danny has said why he doesn't want to do each of those. He did mention, though, I want to go back. Let me go back here for a second. Oh no, I know. I want to do it on the actual Twitter page for this. This is the first post, and he says, basically, look, they're not going to just start hiring new people. That's not an answer. But this paragraph is interesting, and I don't know how many people read it. Our team is still small, less than 20 people, and I prioritize their well-being and personal development as much as our operational efficiency. Our team is constantly optimizing workflows, and tasks that previously took a long time to complete can now be done more quickly, thanks to improvements in our processes. This efficiency gain means we might not need to expand our team significantly, allowing us to maintain a lean operation while focusing on the well-being and personal development of our current staff. What to me this implies is, like, he's, especially because he's asking, what's the right answer, not what's the right answer for his team. It's like, to me, this question is Danny's opening the door up to what's best for customers because he's gotten some breathing room with efficiencies that they've been able to do. So my suggestion, if you're going to look at stuff, then maybe, like, if we're going to rehash anything, I doubt it's going to be pre-orders because he's just fundamental, or lotteries. He's fundamentally against, like, how it makes people feel, etc. Maybe it's time to look again into elements like the wish list or stuff like that. This is stuff that, with the right investment in software, will still be quite efficient. And is something, maybe that's some wiggle room he has. Not sure.
I think this is also where, like, things like loyalty programs and stuff are useful, where you can have, like, you have your tried and true customers that come back all the time that don't make returns and stuff like that. Maybe they get text-based messages that say, we're dropping this.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's I don't know. It's the thing is as soon as you start putting it out there and then you get people crying like it's not fair. Like Danny has, like, even in the discussions that have happened in the past about loyalty programs or memberships and stuff like that, I think it often comes down to a big chunk of people feeling like they're being, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I'm damaged is in my head, but like that this is bad for them and feel like they're left out. It's unfair. And I think
retail's not really fair.
No, but I think he tends to try and avoid that at all possible. But if he's going to be fair to anybody, he tries to be as fair to everybody as possible while prioritizing his people. So, let's, if I can get my keyboard, we'll just go here. Some of the examples, I'll open up a Vegas Starlight's post here. Very much like long thought out post about why stealth drops are bad. And the point that they make is that they basically just hide the fact that the product was released, and it doesn't actually change anything. It's like the number of people who would miss the drop is the same. The only difference is that maybe they won't notice. And I think there's a lot of assumptions that go into this statement, in that, given thought and given an unemotional environment and a more free environment, that all these people would still buy that doll.
Right.
And I think the fact that things are still sticking around, like, people have more opportunity to think and make an educated decision for their finances, and will choose not to buy or try to buy every single doll.
Right. And honestly, sometimes I think the people that say they're upset about missing something are actually just starting a conversation.
Um,
Like, they don't generally care as much that they missed it as they might think they do in the moment. They want to complain about it.
Again, yeah, how much of that is FOMO versus how much of that is actual demand?
Right.
And Danny, by his data, i.e., how long dolls stay around for, believes that it is taking a chunk out of his demand. And there's another assumption that a lot of these types of responses make, is that Danny's responsibility is to fulfill all demand. Is to make dolls so that everyone can have every doll.
And it's not.
And it's not. And he, like, multiple times, Danny's point of view is he doesn't want the demand. He wants to reduce the demand. He wants to hone his audience, so that you're not getting people making flippant, overly casual choices.
Right. Like,
choices that they'll ultimately regret.
foolish choices because they did it in a very quick moment.
Yeah. He wants dolls going to people that are going to really hold on to them. And I don't know, like, does this help new people? I mean, almost every new person that I've seen come into our Discord talking about what new doll that they think they're going to buy, who do you think they are thinking about? Have you noticed the trend?
What doll they want?
Yeah. There's usually a couple, but almost all of them that I've seen talking about their first doll, Mirai is, like, on the list.
Well, yeah. I think that's partially because Danny always says, if you don't know what to get me right.
Well, and because of what she stands for. But my point is, like, somebody kind of get the idea that somebody getting their first doll has to get like one specific doll, like, that is super popular right now. I don't know. This just feels more healthy. Like,
I will have to agree with you on that. Someone pointed out that when coffee drops, the site's probably going to break because no one's going to be happy if they can. I don't know that that's true.
Well, I guarantee you the site won't break. But I mean, he survives. It's hyperbole, but
I think she will sell out very fast. I don't think it's going to be. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as massive. I mean, because Coco, and what we know about Coco, in that it doesn't sell as fast as the other skin tones.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it will be interesting to see what the overall demand for coffee is, if it's more accessible to to an audience or to demand than Coco is. But yeah, Danny talks constantly about how he keeps Coco up and stocked despite lower sales. Like, it's not why he's doing it.
And Ren says, yeah, not everyone is specifically looking for divergence. And that's true. I was about to say that. Like, some people are waiting for another doll. We know for a fact that, we'll be getting into this. We know the first two dolls that are coming. So, and some people might not want divergence,
Yeah. Let's actually take a second. Let me get into there we go. this is not going to be great, and but I can zoom. Perfect. Get back in here. We do have some sneak peeks here. This is what I forgot to put in the slide deck.
Oh, okay. So this was something we had talked about. It was a big one that we had talked about.
Yeah, and I wanted to actually go through and label these for y'all, but it just did not have time. But we've got a lot of standard girls here. So let's talk about who we're seeing here in Coffee.
Okay, so starting down. You start at the bottom.
Sure.
Looks like we've got Live and Let Live.
Yeah, and it's no, I'm pretty sure that's that is Pear. You can tell by the cheeks here, I think. And so that's the G8 sculpt. And he is saying Pear Coffee is coming, but Classic's got to go first because they have a lot more flexibility with the amount of molds that they have for Classic.
Right.
So Pear will be coming down the pipe, and it looks like Live and Let Live.
Next to her, we have, I believe, Imagine.
Yeah. And then we've got...
That's Liberty on the side.
We've got Legion.
Yep.
And then we've got 40.
Yep.
So Transcendence.
Transcendence up there, another Liberty. And then this one was the one, that's somebody's got to be somebody's favorite who can tell me right away who that is. We went through and I could not figure out who that was. I knew it looks familiar, but I'm not sure. So if anybody in the chat can tell us who that is, the very top row.
Yeah, I kept matching up different parts to different dolls, but she has very little eyelashes. They're almost all in the direction of the eye, and not up or out. And yeah, it was really hard from this angle to tell what's going on there. So we've got that. We have heard what we're going to see beyond, most likely, as well.
Yeah, that was the second doll that is ready to go, but Divergence is coming first.
Yeah. So we'll see that. I think Kathy says Genesis. I'm pretty sure it's not Genesis.
The brows are wrong.
The brows are wrong, and Genesis has just solid line eyelash, right? It's she doesn't have furry, this doll still has furry eyelashes. They're just a little more on the future side, the Mirai side, where they're going inward towards the nose instead of up and out. You can see that sort of furriness right here. And this, it's a weird angle, but this is that normal sort of what we like to call the slug.
Yeah. Yeah, rather than Genesis has a very round lash line that happens, and then that point that comes out, and the brows are different.
Rhea says maybe it's a new girl. That's the best guess I have at this point. Maybe it's a totally new girl, and the brows read newer, right? Those thick, solid brows are a 2024 thing. You know, I think since Legion,
they look like Legion brows. They've got the two little lines, and then they've got the little lines in the hash marks in them.
Yeah, so it almost looks like a combo of a couple different masks, perhaps. But yeah, we'll see. It's hard to say, but we're probably. I don't know what he's gonna do after that. The last whatchamacallit, the 50-50 split on this poll. But we may very well see stealth drops for Coffee in the beginning with no announcement. I think people would very much but here's the thing. You want to know it's coming, and so that you can prepare. But as soon as that first one comes out, you now know it's coming and can prepare for the next time it stealth drops.
Right.
These dolls are gonna be around, and they're gonna build up a stock. And Danny talks about efficiency. If you notice, we've been getting more and more generalized stock building up, so that you have just a lot more dolls available. And yeah, it takes time.
Lots of the classic girls that have been gone for a long time are now back in stock and just sitting there waiting.
Dolls Rescue says bittersweet. I don't remember.
I don't think it's bittersweet.
We'll have to take a look. D says, I don't want to miss a boy drop. Totally understand. There's certain things, Cortex, you know, especially things that are going to be limited, where I feel like it warrants possibly a full drop or at least a warning.
I also feel like before boys drop, we're going to see stories about boys. So far, we've seen that one picture where he said, "This is the head, and you know, draw what you want on it," that kind of thing. But we will see, I think, some sort of like actual Instagram post about a boy before it drops.
Sure, but that doesn't tell you it's going to drop. That's my point. Like, it's still but
I'm just saying we're ways off because we haven't seen that yet.
Sure, yeah. But in terms of like, I think what Didi's saying is like, in terms of how he notifies things, if you stealth drop something like, again, I think it all depends on, our assumption is things are going to go away and they're never going to come back. And for the most part, we just don't know. But at the same time, Danny has proven again and again that he's willing to pull things like years out of retirement.
Right.
Unless he doesn't have the mold anymore and he can't. It would be nice to have some clarification on that. I think with stealth drops, you know, Guru, we've been struggling with Guru to figure out how to track this, how to best do it. We may just need more people watching things and doing manual entry. I've tried to come up with automated ways, and it's really hard. Yeah. It's somewhat slightly easier investing in like the alerts and things like that, but it's a lot of like copying and pasting things. And I think what we talked about for Guru that we think would be really useful for people to understand is, when was the last time something dropped? And that's one of the harder things that we want to track, and we haven't quite gotten there yet. But if we can actually track when things are being put up on the website, so that you can see like even frequency or something like that.
You're talking about like a last restock line in the entry?
Yeah, last time we also actually, what we did was we created categories in prep for this idea. We created the idea that, like, you know, whether something's, you know, available, or, you know, basically that if it's been over a certain amount of time, it's you know, it's in cryo sleep, you know, giving you an idea for how, you know, the longer it's been since it's dropped, the less likelihood is that it's just going to randomly drop. Not that it can't happen, but, you know, if you notice like it's a recently released thing, you know, basically give more information to people to help them make some educated assumptions. But it is it's hard. I think you know, shout out to the Gurus. I think we probably need to have a meeting and just get locked down around expanding to more volunteers to help, you know, with data entry and people who are like love tracking that stuff, and utilize the alerts, maybe invest in like more, probably less for the Guru, less needed, but, you know, we can actually do like more frequent scans of the website and things like that.
Ren says, do you think it could be calm before the storm? Could the top girl be her? Because if you look at Batgirl, you don't see her eyebrows. No, Batgirl is forgive but don't forget.
Right. Yeah, we'll keep looking into it. So we will see. In the meantime, before we call it a day, I think it's time to give this video a like, a thumbs up if you're enjoying yourself. If you find it informative, if you like the conversation, we really do appreciate it, and it helps spread our videos to more people. And of course, that also means that it's time to.
Party?
I think so.
Let's
Mariah?
We've been driving around, singing songs way too loud because we wanna. Picking up our love friends, fill up the car till it bends because we wanna. Yeah, we just wanna have fun. The trunk's full of wine. We're gonna stay up, have the time of our lives. The night is young, don't need anybody else. We came to party all night long, and we don't need no chaperone. We don't need nobody's attention, yeah, we just wanna dance on our own. We came to party all night long and sing along to every song. We don't need nobody's attention, don't need nobody else in our zone. Making plans up as we go, worried as when no one knows just how we want it. Going left, going right, doesn't matter tonight, just how we want it. We want it. Yeah, we just wanna have fun. The trunk's full of wine. We're gonna stay up, have the time of our lives. The night is young, don't need anybody else. We came to party all night long, and we don't need no chaperone.
Every time I watch the Guru ad, I just want to watch Doctor Who. Thank you so much for your entries into the Smarty Party, and of course, thank you to the party planners for putting it together every week and keeping it together while we've been gone for the past few weeks. Very, very cool. And of course, we also want to say thank you to our super smarties this week is Barbie Witch. Thank you so much for your super chat.
Thank you, Barbie Witch.
And as always, our ongoing support from our Discord subscribers.
We have our cheerleaders: Anne Marie, Apple Boy, Celestial Styles Alaska, Diana DC Brick, Didi Simone 22, Doll Dragon, Holly K, Liz Marie, Juna Thorne, and Soup Whoop.
Our sponsors: Agarva, Bizbota Redheads Ramblings, Busy Bee, Cami Faye SMD,
And our mascots, Baggins Lover and Warsheep. Thank you so much, everybody.
We really appreciate your ongoing support and helping make this channel what it is. I think good conversation. As a recap, I'm liking the stealth. I like that if I'm not paying attention,
Yeah.
like there's still a chance maybe to get something.
Right. Someone can, someone gets a second to text you and go, hey, that doll that you wanted just dropped.
Yep. So, I don't think it's going to please everybody, but I definitely think there's room to like Danny, to listen to this, like, mixed, when is the right time to announce what things kind of fall under that.
I think I honestly think that I'm gonna give my final opinion as stealth is good.
Stealth is good.
Maybe
Fire bad.
Maybe announcements on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Not necessarily every new release, but like the like some things that are like really heavy buzz.
I'd like to know that something that's a new doll actually came out and not just like read about it through the, hear it through the grapevine kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like whether it's before, whether it's after, he should say, hey, this happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was one day where he actually said, in case you missed it, we dropped like all these dolls, and like it was just like a few days ago. It was like, I don't know, like maybe people weren't visiting as much. I don't know, but
my thing is like, yeah, I just like, if you're waiting for somebody, you want to know, like, even if you don't get that first drop, you want to know that she did drop, and you want that information out there. And so I feel like it coming from Danny is a little bit more reliable. But anyway, we could keep spinning on this.
I think instead we should just go, right?
Okay. Do you want to? I mean, you just want to leave them here? Oh, I should end the stream.
Yeah. That's all for us, everybody. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye.